when I was first elected in '92, we were still setting the mill rate, and that was the last term when we set the mill rate. And then, of course, there's been many, many changes. So I'm just going to read just to keep focused and not waste your time, and then go on. First, I'd like to share my philosophy. I believe very, very strongly and passionately that publicly funded schools are the basis of a democracy. Publicly funded schools, healthcare and public libraries are the litmus test that we use to see if we really have the kind of country that we want to be a part of. And I do believe in the principles of publicly funded schooling, which is that every child, regardless of their socioeconomic status, geographic location, or even parents' wishes, should be entitled to the best possible education. Now that doesn't mean I'm against private schools. Private schools are parental choice, and parents have that choice. But I believe as trustees we are stewards of children, and we represent the students and their families and also the communities. They elected us, and that's our key stakeholders. We have legal and ethical obligations, and I am committed to grassroots democracy, and I see public education as the basis of this, and I believe strongly that trustees have to be elected by the local communities, and we are the backbone of publicly funded education. There's a strong and proud history of trusteeship in our province, which is why we have, I truly believe, the very best publicly funded education system in the world. We visit Vancouver regularly. We have grandchildren there. And this summer, we were there for the summer because there was a new baby. And almost every day, there was an article about education, schooling, the dire financial straits of their school boards. And when I see the issues facing them in BC, I'm so grateful to live in Alberta, and our children were the beneficiaries of an excellent education system. For us, it's in St. Albert. In case some of you wonder, a little bit of legal information. We're the St. Albert Protestant Separate School District. We function as a public district, and the public district in St. Albert is the Catholic district. And if you haven't had time to digest your School Act, that's because the first district in publicly funded schooling is always the public, and St. Albert was a Catholic community. And then and there's only, of course, Catholics and I guess non-Catholics are seen as publicly funded education. And when 52 years ago in St. Albert, the Protestants, as they had to be then separated away to form their own system, that's why we're called the separate system, and we're unique in Alberta. I'm very proud of that. Anyway, so that's why we're called the St. Albert Protestant Separate System, but we are, which is why we belong to Public School Boards Association. Anyway, I believe that leadership given by boards is very clearly outlined in the School Act, which I know a new School Act or Education Act, I think they want to call it's coming down, and I can use a little bit political here. I do hope that it doesn't destroy where I think is many of the fine aspects of it, that you don't throw out the baby in the bathwater, because it has served us well, which doesn't mean it's not time perhaps to revisit it. As far as trusteeships goes, as trustees individually, we have no power, but as a board, we are very powerful in the areas of leadership. We are a legal entity, which Janice went into, so I won't repeat that. And basically what we do is direction setting through policy, monitoring that the policies are followed, and all the students get the best education possible, and evaluating the results. And by results, I don't mean only academic performance, which of course is the backbone of schooling. You have to be able to read, you have to be able to speak, coherent, competently, if you want to survive. I won't digress on that today. But we also have to ensure that the programs and the extracurricular activities develop the whole child, and that's every child, from those with special needs in both the challenged and gifted areas. And our province is very enlightened in this case, because in Alberta we do call gifted children as special needs. In most provinces, special needs are only of the challenge, whereas we honour our gifted special needs. And we also, the fine arts, performing arts, sports, CTS, the whole child. And that's where through the board, through your policy setting, through how you decide your budget is going to be spent, that's how you make sure those programs are offered. And that is purely within your purview. You decide, you have the final say, or you give the direction, and then you ensure that your superintendent carries it out. A senior government administrator that I respect greatly said to me many years ago when I was first elected, he said, "Morag, the very most important job that your board does is the appointment of your superintendent. I understood but didn't quite at the beginning, but that is true, because the person that you appoint as your superintendent, you have to believe will carry out the direction of the board. And we couldn't do what we do as successfully as we do in publicly funded schools in Alberta without, and this is a passion of mine, and I don't mind saying this, but without our talented and dedicated teaching and support staff.